Hello and welcome to this LEGO Hobbit restricted any percent tutorial for the level The Necromancer. After spawning out the previous level, you can then immediately select a horse and make your way on the overworld over to the start trigger by the bridge into Dol Guldur. And then the first section of the level requires some simple 1p2c, so moving with both characters at the same time, mostly in the same direction. Player 2 or player 1 can go off to the left here and break the barrels on the left. The other player breaks the ones in the cave. And then it's important that player 1 is standing on that little ledge above the stairs there, because then you can actually spawn two cutscenes at the same time. One after the other, so it saves a bit of time and movement. This next room has two ways that you can do it. The first way, which what we're going to show here, player 2 will go off to the right, player 1 will tap up left and then press attack to be able to hit the trampoline thing. Player 2 will go over and heal the birds, while player 1 creates this statue. The reason why we want to do both of these things at the same time is that they both have a mini cutscene, but if you activate them at the same time, then both like forced camera pans will happen at the same time, which saves time overall. So that's done for the first bird. Then player 2 will go up, help break the ladder for player 1 here, and build it. And player 1 will then go up the ladder, start building the second statue, while player 2 makes his way to the other bird. And again, trying to overlap, hitting the statue with the bird. This statue's a bit harder to hit sometimes, the targeting isn't great. So you need to make sure you're standing in a good position for it. So most of the priority in that section is on player 1. Once both birds have been healed, the third statue is able to be built. Build it with player 2. And player 1 will go to the door to finish the section. And that's the first way of doing this room. However, there is a skip to do in this room, but we recommend getting comfortable with this strategy first, because the other skips are one try. So if you mess it up, you have to come back to this. So what you do is you go and heal the birds with player 2. Just the birds, you don't need to worry about the statues, while player 1 stands on the grate that the birds perch on. And this is very important, player 1's positioning, because the birds will carry this grate away, partly during the next cutscene, and then Gandalf will be standing on it as player 1. So the birds fly up, and you want to pause the game just as the right side of the right side of the platform clears the goblin wall. And at that point you want to jump onto the top of the wall itself and then do a single jump upright and into the trigger. With practice you can do this without pausing and just jump straight onto the wall, then into the trigger. In the next room, you make your way all the way over to the right, and then in the corner you jump and switch characters. The AI jumps up to the top of the stairs, at which point you switch back to that character and then make your way over to the crank to open half of the gate. Once half of the gate is opened, you switch character, and with player 2 you do a precise jump standing on a dead plant just to the right of the stairs, and then jumping straight forwards and a tiny bit of left onto the stairs in front of you, and from there you can break the cage with the crank in it and activate the crank opening the gate again. This then starts the Azog fight. You can also do this section 2 players. Once you have done the jump switch with player 1, you can drop in player 2, and then player 2 can make their way over to the left, do the plant jump, while player 1 finishes the crank. Player 1 should always finish first, in which case player 1 drops down in front of the gate, and this immediately starts the trigger for the Azog fight. And the Azog fight, relatively straightforward. The easiest way to hit Azog to break off the other character is to jump attack. And then it's just mashing buttons. But after each phase, Azog will do one ground attack. It's important to stand underneath these stairs here, which you jumped up with player 2. The only reason for that is you take less knockback, so you're able to get back into the fight quicker essentially. Now we go into the auto-scroller. You can't save or lose time in this auto-scroller, just remember that this auto-scroller is actually deceptively short. It's only about 20-25 seconds. You've got to make sure you're ready to skip the cutscene at the end. And then we'll make our way into the boss fight. The boss fight's on a fixed pattern, so you have to wait for all 5 hands to come down. It's 4 hands and then the 1 blue hand, which you can do damage to, and then you break the statues and hit Sauron with that. Now, one thing you can do in this level, because it's got this boss fight at the end that takes a lot of waiting, you can actually get down to 0 studs. And ending the level with 0 studs saves about a second on the status screen. So it's worth doing. And then once the boss fight is complete, you finish the level.